that's the Eurocoin with a significant segment taken out of it. I'm here with Sinéad Ní Chúlacháin, who is the chair of Labour Women. I do beg your pardon, Sinéad. Thank you for this interview. Tell us about the Eurocoin.
Well, the Eurocoin represents the gender pay gap that still exists in Ireland. For the average wage of women across the Eurozone is 18% less than the average wage of men, and in Ireland it's still 15% less than the average earnings of men. Notwithstanding that we've had equal pay legislation in Ireland now for nearly 30 years, well 25 years anyway, there's still a very significant gender pay gap. And of course that's partly because women are concentrated in lower paid areas of work, and there is still huge lack of women at higher echelons across both the public and private sector. But even where you take direct parity of persons with exactly equal qualifications, even among young people, the gender pay gap for graduates starts within 2 years of leaving college. It's quite dramatic. Women start to fall behind long before family commitments or loss of promotion due to maternity leave and things like that start kicking in. The gender pay gap becomes evident. So this Eurocoin represents the 6 weeks every year that I work, for which I'm not paid compared to my direct male counterpart.
You're the chair of Labour Women, so that's getting women passionate about the Labour Party and involved in Labour politics. Why should anybody be passionate about politics? Let's start there first.
Well, because politicians run our lives. Politicians make lots of decisions about how we live, how we do our everyday things, where we work, where we live, where our children go to school, what kind of health service we have, how we get there, our public transport system, what kind of houses we live in, our planning system. All of these things are controlled effectively by politicians. And if we don't take our power in it, our voices aren't heard at all. Women campaigned long and hard to get the vote in Ireland. 90 years ago, women voted in their first general election. And since then, our progress in getting our voices heard in politics has been very slow. We were badly hit traditionally by Eamon de Valera and his constitution, which put women's place back into the home. And it has been quite a long struggle. I mean, women have been liberated since the 1960s, women liberation movement started, but actually women's voice is not being heard. And when you look at the Dáil, there are only 13% of the TDs are women. But in the Labour Party, we're 1/3. We've actually 35% of our TDs. So we have a strong voice in the Labour Party. There's a good place for women. If women are interested in trying to change lives of Irish people and in trying to influence how our lives are, the Labour Party is a good place to do it, because we actively promote women within the party. We have quota systems within the party to ensure women get a leg up, to get a start. It's not about promoting women for women's sake. It's about trying to give them a leg up, and then once they're up, they have to do it on their own 2 feet after that. But it's about getting over these cultural hurdles that do exist in the political parties in Ireland. I mean, women in Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have it really tough. They've only 10% of their TDs, so it's very, very low. Not just by Irish standards, it's very low internationally. I mean, we rank appallingly behind countries like Rwanda, Argentina, which all have much higher levels of women's representation than we do. Even in Europe, I mean, we are just like, obviously you can't compare us with the Scandinavians who have actual half and half, so that their politics reflects their electorate. I mean, half of the voters are women. All the time. In fact, 53% of the voters are women, because women live longer and vote for longer than the men do. So actually more of the voters are women than men. But the people they're voting for don't reflect. And that's down to the political parties who provide the choice of candidates. So it's, I think, really important that women try to get involved in politics, because I do think it affects your whole life.
And how would a woman get involved in politics with the Labour Party?
Well, with the Labour Party, if you want to get involved, I suppose the first thing to do would be to contact your local party organisation. And if you don't know where they are or who they are or how to get in touch with them, you contact the Labour Party head office, and they will give you the information of when the next meeting in your area is and the contact details of somebody. And they will usually inform somebody that you're coming if you want them to. Somebody there to talk to you and welcome you when you arrive at your first meeting.
Okay.
Hopefully, that's the theory. I don't know whether it always works, but that's the theory, is somebody will be there to welcome you. And that's where you start. Is you start with your local organisation, your local branch, and you go along to their meetings and you see what the local concerns are. And hopefully, if you have local concerns, you can bring them to their attention if they don't already know about them. If you have a local representative already, and I mean, they're all out canvassing at the moment, so it should be very easy to contact them to find them at the moment. They shouldn't be knocking at your door.
Right.
But tell them you're interested.
what other issues are Labour looking at for women? I mean, you've got the pay equality, which is obviously a huge one, but are there other ones?
Well, of course. I mean, there always are, and we do try in the Labour Party. I mean, Labour women have been trying to get the Labour Party to adopt a gendered approach to all of our policies, to look at all policies to see do they affect men and women differently. And lots of things do. Things you don't always think about. But I mean, if you're formulating a mental health policy, you have to realise that the rate of suicide among young men is way higher than among younger women. Why is that? Why are women happier than men? You look at it in a gendered way and say, well, can we apply that to the men and try and bring that into your mental health policy to improve the conditions for men? Equally, if you look at the insurance area, if you're doing any policies in insurance, there's huge gender differences there. And anybody who ever looked for car insurance for a woman knows it costs less than car insurance for a man. But if you ever went to get life insurance for a woman, you know that it costs more than life insurance for a man.
Okay.
Because women live longer and for pensions, you need to be paid your pension for much longer. So if you're looking for a life annuity on a woman, it costs more than a life annuity on a man does, because on average, actuarially, men die younger. Pensions in itself is a huge issue for women. We have an enormous pension gap. A lot of women have no pensions compared to men. A huge number of women who have no pensions, and a huge number of women who have no independent pension, who are treated as dependent spouses of men when it comes to old age pension, and they're not able to get their own pension paid to them directly. They can only get it paid through their spouse and have no control of anything of them, only whatever they want to hand over. That's a big issue. At the moment, with the increasing unemployment, we're very concerned to see how that is affecting different men and women differently. And the first wave, which affected the construction industry, hugely, a lot of men there. But we can see in the second wave that it's going to affect women more than men. Women in lower paid employment, women in the retail sector, and we'll see all these special schools, the special needs assistants in the schools, who are largely women, and we see women being pushed out in the second wave of unemployment, and a lot of them won't have enough payments to qualify. It won't have enough stamps to qualify for social welfare. Social welfare itself is very gender differentiated. Everything isn't paid in the same way. So, for example, 85% of all carers are women, and carers allowance looks like being one of the social welfare areas that is going to be cut by the government. So that will affect a lot more women than it will men. So that's what Labour women like to look at, is how do these policies affect men and women differently, and can you do it in a fairer way? Is there a more equal way of doing it?
Do you honestly believe that the Labour Party will listen to the female candidates that are elected and will actually make a real change to this country? Because all the talk is, once we get in, we're going to do things extremely different to Fianna Fáil.
Yeah. Well, and the Labour Party in the past have. And the Labour Party in the past have always listened to the women. And we're the only ones who have a serious economic policy that has a woman's voice in it. I mean, when you look at economic policy at the moment, it's all being formulated by men, except the Labour Party policy that has John Burton. And we do listen to women in the Labour Party, mainly because we have critical mass. We have enough women to make ourselves heard. You can't actually ignore this number of women. And we're pretty vocal women as well, too.
As I saw inside,
As you saw inside.
You've got a lot of first-time candidates this year.
We have a lot of new women candidates, and we're really excited about them, because we have some really extraordinarily good candidates who are very, very electable, as they say in political circles. They're very credible candidates. They're really serious women. They come from really good community backgrounds, most of them. They're really interested in the local areas, in the issues that affect their local areas. They do look at it differently, mainly, I think, because women are more engaged with young people. Women have children. Women have teenage children. Women have young children around them, and they have young adults around them, and they are very concerned about the issues in their local communities. And we can all see first range of cutbacks affect all the things like, you know, if there was money supposed to be coming for a new playground in the area, that's gone. If there was money supposed to be coming for a new community centre, youth centre, that's the money that's going. So it's really important that we get lots of these women elected onto the local authorities to ensure that youth facilities are kept in place. Because if they aren't, we know that will just lead to more and more social problems down the line. It costs us far more in the long run to rehabilitate people who get into trouble than it does to avoid and prevent the trouble by providing proper facilities in the first place. The Labour Party knows this. This is why we need to get back into positions of power.
We're in a very windswept area, so I'm going to leave it there because I'm freezing, but thank you very much today.
Cheers.